This is the David Lloyd George. As you can see, we're doing some repairs to the boiler. There was a steam leak in this area of the cab, so hence we've stripped off the cab side to be able to get access, and we've cut away the boiler lagging here. So this is the outer firebox you can see here, and we discovered the source of the leak was a stay here. So we've drilled this out. This is a stay which holds the inner firebox to the outer firebox. As you can see, it's been drilled from either side to remove it. So this had cracked through partly and was leaking out of the little telltale holes, one of the little telltale holes that's in the end of the stay. So we've got a steam leak there. So the next job, having taken this stay out, is to weld in a new stay in this area, which will be welded here on the outside of the outer firebox, and also it'll be welded on the inside of the inner firebox, sealing it up again, and then the loco will be, the boiler top half of the loco will be available for traffic again. At the same time, we're doing a bogie overhaul on this loco, and we can go and have a look at the bogies over there. This is the power bogie from one end of the David Lloyd George that we've taken out for a complete overhaul. It's been in service for 3 seasons now without a major overhaul. So there'll be various bits and pieces we need to inspect and repair. It's mainly about inspecting things that could have worn or broken that it's hard to see when the loco's in service, like the driving springs here. When the loco's in service, you can look up from underneath, you can get an idea of the outside of it, but you can't look at them properly. So all this will be stripped down, the wheel sets will be taken out, obviously the rods off, the valve gear will all come out, and we'll have a good look at everything, renew any pins and bushes that have worn badly, maybe replace the springs if we find cracks. We'll take out the piston valves and the pistons to have a look at them, see if they need new rings because they wear after a few years. We'll basically go through the whole lot. We'll look for cracks in the frames and weld repair any of those that we might find. Basically, it's to go through it to make sure it's going to be good for traffic for 2 or 3 years to come. Okay, so some of the bits you can see here are, this is This has come off the upper part of the loco. This is a water balance pipe that between the two tanks. This pipe assembly here is the main steam pipe that, when the loco's in service, comes from about here at the bottom of the smoke box, loops down round the axle and into the steam chest down there. So that's the supply of steam into the steam chest and hence the cylinders. This pipe here and this ball at the end normally sits in an upright position, and that's the exhaust steam pipe. So the exhaust from the loco will come straight up through the smoke box and out the chimney. This bottom ball allows the articulation of the engine, so as the bogie can move sideways and up and down slightly, this ball deals with the sideways motion, and then there's a telescoping section that slides on here that deals with the up and down motion of the loco. One of the complexities of having a fully articulated engine that we have to deal with. The main steam pipe has a flexible portion in the middle, and it also has a swivelling portion down here, which again allows the bogie to turn and move up and down slightly as well, because obviously completely rigid pipes would be of no use whatsoever. Right, what we have here are some of the parts of the diesel engine for the Kerr Stewart diesel loco number 4415. It's being restored as a volunteer, well, mainly volunteer project. This is the diesel engine major components you can see here. This engine's not the original engine from the locomotive, but it's of the original type. This particular engine came from the Leeds Industrial Museum at Armley Mills. It's an early McLaren diesel engine, which I think is a copy or made under license Benz engine. You can see here, this is the sump, and you can see where the bearings will sit that carry the crankshaft of the loco. This is the crankshaft from the loco. As you can see, this end has suffered some severe damage. It's obviously sheared right off, and this in turn has damaged this area and this area here on the block and the sump of the loco. These areas have been cast iron weld repaired. They've been away to a specialist contractor, and that's repairs now done, but the area will need remachining. The crankshaft, we're looking at possibly machining a new end which would be shrink fitted into this crank web here, having been bored out. But at the moment we're just assessing the parts and seeing what can be done. These are the gearbox parts that we're going to use in the repair of Conway Castle. It's been out of traffic for a little while now. The far gearbox is the speed and reversing gearbox that was in the Conway Castle. The nearer gearbox here is a similar one that came from a standard gauge Planet loco that was broken up many years ago. And we're using parts from both to assemble one good gearbox with some new parts as well, although new parts now are not available off the shelf, they have to be specially made. So we're hoping that in the next few months we'll be able to get all this together, get it back into Conway Castle, and that loco can be made to go again. It's a useful diesel shunting loco for the railway. Here we've got the components for a pair of new bogies we're putting together. These bogies will be used under the new observation carriage for the FR, number 152. You can see we've got wheel sets that we've assembled here in our wheel press. We've brought in wheel castings, machined them up. We've machined the axles here, and this is our standard bogie design that we've used for many years now. So they're roller bearing axle boxes, rubber primary suspension, and these will be finished well, probably within the next few weeks, and be able to go under the carriage for its entry into traffic next season. So this is the Blanche, which as you can see is now all back in one piece after the 10-year boiler repair. All that remains to do now is a bit of final assembly. You can see the spark arrestor needs to be finished off. There's various fittings around the loco to be finished, but it's nearly ready and it'll be available for traffic season along with the Linda, so there'll be should have two ladies available all next year for regular train working. Here we have the new chassis for the next Welsh Island observation car. As you can see, it's got a curvy end, a bit like the Glaslyn and 150 and 152 on the Festiniog. At the moment this chassis is upside down whilst it's being it's easier in that position to weld various parts on underneath. It'll be turned over, and then there's a stainless steel body frame to build on top of it. Obviously we need a pair of bogies. It'll be South African Railways ones rebuilt with roller bearings, and then that underframe will go into the carriage works for the timber work to go on, fitting out and painting and so on. Here we have the Earl of Merioneth, which, as you may know, it's coming to the end of its 10-year boiler life. It's got a ticket until April next year. We know it's going to need a lot of boiler repair to continue, which is why we've decided to build a new boiler, and also to build the new engine James Spooner. So the Earl will be coming out of traffic sometime before April next year. The rest of the loco is in poor condition as well and needs a lot of work to be used again. The tanks particularly, we think are life expired because we're continually welding patches and things inside to stop them from leaking. Although they don't look too bad on the outside, they're in a very poor state. Similarly with the smoke boxes, they're life expired. So the Earl's coming to the end of its current life. Now, the plan at the moment is we'll be using these bogies that it's on at the moment, which are actually feature the original Merthin Emrys wheel sets in them. These bogies are in quite good order. They'll go in next under the new double fairley loco, James Spooner, and then the Earl will be put complete on the old bogies that we have in store at Minffordd and parked up for some while, saved for the future. Some future restoration maybe, who knows, we shall have to wait and see. This is carriage number 21, which is a recreation of an original Ashbury carriage on the FR. The original was broken up, lost many years ago, so this has been recreated from original drawings. It's a mainly volunteer project. It's going along slowly, but as you can see, most of the bodywork is now complete. We'll be making some new bogies for it to the original historic pattern. That'll be probably be a paid staff job over the next year or so. Here we've got some of the new seats being made for carriage number 152. They're the same as the ones for 150. They've proved very successful, people like them. So we've kept that design, and these will all be going into 152 quite soon now, ready for its entry into service next season. This is carriage number 152. It's an observation carriage for the Festinio line. It's basically a copy of the very successful carriage number 150. So it'll be used on the second set on FR trains. We've made some detail changes since 150, but they're very minor because we've found that 150 has been very popular indeed, and so we've chosen not to change it too much. As you can see, it's being painted now, and the interior fittings are going in, and it should be finished ready for next season. Here we've got the Mountaineer, as you see. It's here at Boston Lodge instead of at Glenapulth, where it's been for the last few years, just because we needed some more storage space at Glenapulth, and it's quite useful to have it here as well, the Mountaineer, because quite often we get asked for people want to come and have a look at it or measure bits of it because they're making a model, something like that. So actually having it here stored in our nice new shed is very convenient, and it's also obviously keeping it dry and parts safe, so that when we do get round to rebuilding it, it's all there and the deterioration is minimised as far as possible. Here we have Welsh Pony, which is looking a lot more complete since the last time we had a look. As you can see, the boiler and the inner frames are now united together, and the tenders behind it all in one piece on the rails. So the major components of the locomotive are now all done, but obviously there's still quite a lot of work to do before it's able to steam and run. You can see here how the frames come through the cylinder block. Here's the frame plate, and it comes through the back plate of the smoke box, which is the front tube plate of the loco also, and the inner frames run through, and then you can see them now attached to the front of the firebox here. We've still got to refit the rear frames, which we hope to use the original parts, because they don't look in too bad a condition, so they'll go back on. And then also there's an outer set of frames which run right along the locomotive, tying together the cylinders at the front buffer beam, right the way to the back of the loco, to that back foot plating. Those frame pieces are, again, they're in good condition, so they'll be reused. Then obviously to finish the loco we still need a smoke box. The original smoke box was far too rotten to use again, so we'll be building a new smoke box to the original design. Once that's done, once we've got the new smoke box, really it's a matter of assembling all the parts that we've got, that we've restored already. The tank, which is just over there, That's ready to go on. The cab is pretty much ready to go on. Here we've got Welsh Pony's cab. As you can see, there's a lot of work has been done on it since the last video. There's a lot of careful repair been done on the side sheets where it had rusted through in places and been damaged. It's had new metal carefully let in various places to make it good. Where there are holes that we know where things go, they've been left for some of the original parts that we saw earlier to go back on, and things like the works plates, number plates and so on. The roof of the cab we had to renew completely because that was too far gone. So there's a new roof sheets have been made, but otherwise the cab is mainly original material. It's had an initial painting by one of our volunteers. It's the grey colour is, we understand, what it did have on the inside in the 1930s, although the beadings have been done black because it's almost impossible to keep clean around the rivets of the internal angles and things, so they've been done black. So pretty much now the cab is ready to go back on to the restored loco when the chassis is ready to accept it. There's still some mechanical fitting between the frames to do. The valve gear still has to be refitted, although again that's all been restored, so it's not a massive job to get it together. The connecting and coupling rods obviously are still not on the loco. They need some work, but we're hoping that's not going to be too much. So obviously we have to put some insulation, some lagging sheets on the boiler barrel, and the steel thin cladding sheets on the outside to keep that together. But again, that's not a massive job on a relatively small, straightforward boiler like this. So there's not an enormous amount of work left to do to get the loco running. At the moment we're not actively working on it full time. I think there's a bit more funding to raise, and it's going to be planned into the winter work programme. But as you can see, basically the loco's coming together quite well. So these are some original cab fittings which have come to light from Welsh Pony. These brackets would have held the token, a larger token, when that was being carried on the loco. This little bracket also went on the cab side and carried the small token when that was in use. There's a little springy holder for notices and caution orders that will be clipped onto the cab side. This would have been on the back of the outer firebox to indicate exactly where the top of the inner firebox is, so you could judge your water level. I've not seen one of those before. And this, we think, is a carrier for a lamp for the gauge glass, so you can see the water level in the boiler in hours of darkness. Exactly what sort of lamp that would have been, I don't know.